Applying for a job. Once you've found jobs, you have to apply for them. There'll be 3 basic elements to your application that you'll upload as attachments, in addition to all the other forms the station's going to have you fill out online. You have your cover letter, a resume, and a link to your reel. The reel is going to be a link that you put in both your cover letter and your resume. So it's technically not a separate upload, but you get the idea. First up is the cover letter. And this is actually important because a news director gave me some good advice. They said that the cover letter is your first chance with them to prove that you can actually tell a story from beginning, middle to end, and do it quickly. In other words, tell the news director why you're qualified for the job, why you want it, what you can do for the station, and as you write it, drop in clues that prove to them you've actually researched the station, meaning what kind of news they do and what's going on at that particular time. Make it all 1 page and 1 page only. That's always what I did. Plus, as I mentioned, I added a line referencing my reel and included the link to it. Moving on to your resume. Again, this is probably going to be 1 page because you simply haven't worked at enough stations or won enough awards that they'll actually care about to go into 2 pages. If you have some, you're awesome. Put your work experience up top. First, always first. Then awards, education, and skills. This is the common way to do it. And here's a look at my resume from way back when. And here's a look at my resume. And this is my current one. I still keep it updated. If you want to model this one, you can. Just keep in mind it's a little bit different than the most basic mainstream one. The awards are up top because they're ones that news directors care about, and I was lucky enough to win. An Emmy and consistent Murrows. The Murrows are what impressed the news director in Dallas. She was impressed by other things too, but those stood out to her. And I know this because she took time to tell me during my interview. She openly offered that information to me. I didn't ask her about what she thought of awards. She brought them up on her own. That's how I ever learned how important awards can be. And it's not just Emmy and Murrow. Other awards that will catch news directors' eyes are anything from IRE, meaning investigative. SPJ awards can also get their attention as well. If you're placing first place in statewide AP contests, those can be good as well. One year I won 3 AP awards in a row for feature reporting, videography, and writing. So that clean sweep definitely went on my resume. Something else that's cool is that your station may make promos about you if the wins are big enough. First places in AP awards typically are, as are any kind of an Edward R. Murrow Award, and of course, an Emmy. The reason why you don't see the AP awards on my current resume is because the Emmys and Murrows will get more than enough attention. They're also more recognizable than AP to the outside world. All the awards we're talking about, very recognizable in journalism, but I have to catch the immediate attention and project as much confidence and certainty in my skill to people who have no idea what's big or the new hotness in journalism. Emmy and Murrow accomplish that. Plus, if you're winning big awards like Emmy, Murrow, IRE, big SPJ things, news directors will care about that, weigh that, far more than AP or smaller contests. So again, you can totally put a couple of them at the top of the resume if you want to. If you're winning multiple big awards in one night, definitely put those up top because consistency matters. Some people win, but don't do it with consistency. Consistency will make you unique. And remember, your resume is only 1 page. This actually guarantees that the news director will see everything because it's 1 page. So, with that, let's now talk about your reel. This is truly where I differentiated myself in TV. And I'm going to walk you through 2 formulas for your resume tape. One is the traditional way that a news director is going to expect from you just because it's the way it's done. I've sent out probably 250 of those in my career. Then, I'm going to show you the tape that I sent to Dallas that got me my job. It also got the attention of a few other news directors as well. You're going to want to see both. So let's start with the traditional reel. If you're a reporter, your reel is going to be no longer than 6 to 7 minutes tops. And the news director is probably only going to watch the first 5 to 10 seconds. Yes, only the first 5 to 10 seconds. They judge you from the first frame of your first live shot. That's why you always put your best work first. Always. The first minute of your tape is your live shot / stand-up montage. Hopefully, it's all live shots. This is why I advocate so much and run the risk of sounding repetitious when I tell you to do active live shots, where you interact with your environment and do sequence stand-ups that are creative. If you do, a news director will watch. In fact, they'll watch until you stop. So, if your 1-minute live shot montage is filled with active live shots, the news director will probably watch the entire minute, because few reporters have that many creative live shots. Honestly, they don't have them because they take a lot of extra effort to do, and also coordination with the photographer. Plus, if the live shot photographer hates their job, they'll just want to be lazy and shoot the reporter standing there like a statue. So, by working hard every day, you're bound to have 4 to 5 great live shots that are creative and worth putting on your tape. And you've now just instantly increased your chances that a news director will watch your tape for a lot longer than they do everybody else. Now, let's talk about those live shots. You want to put any good breaking news live shots at the very top. That's because news directors want to see how good you are having little time to prepare. Plus, breaking news is the focus of every newsroom. So, put breaking news live shots first. Then comes what you call spot news live shots. Spot news is basically a story that you were rerouted to while doing another story that day. So, you're out covering story A, but then your assignment editor calls and says that you need to cover story B. And that story turns out to be big. That's spot news. Now, you're probably asking, well then, what's the difference between spot news and breaking news? Well, spot news is a term that you see when entering award contests. It's usually defined as a story that you weren't assigned to in the morning meeting, but that broke as you were on whatever that more regular story was, and that you had 4 or more hours to get it on the air. Meaning that from the time you got the story to the time it hit air, no more than about 4 to 6 hours has probably passed. Breaking news is typically described as news that you had 3 hours or less to put on the air from the moment you learned of it. A lot of breaking news happens much quicker than that. You'll definitely have live shots with spot news, but they won't be branded with breaking news graphics. Instead, it'll be along the lines of developing story. It's funny because these distinctions aren't things that the audience cares about. Only news people do. The only thing left after spot news live shots are the live shots from your regular daily stories. If they're creative, they may very well make it to your tape. Now let's talk about stand-ups. If you don't have a lot of live shots to choose from because some stations only have one live truck, then this is the opportunity to showcase your sequence stand-ups. Though, I will say this, with the advent of Live U and Degero and Facebook Live and so many ways to go live simply from your cell phone, nowadays you have a much larger pool of live to choose from than I did when I was constantly applying. But do keep in mind, a good sequence stand-up can be a way to round out the last 45 to minute section, so that last 15 seconds of your montage, if you simply don't have any other good live. The last thing you want to do is to put on live where you're just standing there. So keep this in mind as well. If you get to 45 seconds, so 0 to 45 seconds of your tape, and you've got, it's tight, it's sequenced live, it's good live, it's active live, and it's only 45, just go with that. Never put junk after the good stuff to try and pad it out. The 1 minute, that's just a guideline. So in review here, everything we just talked about is just for the first 60 seconds of your tape. Now, after that, you're going to put 3 packages on, and that's it. 3. The first one is the best breaking news you have. If all of your breaking news is boring, then move on to spot news. And again, those are your developing stories. If for some reason those are boring too, put the most creative, most engaging daily story you have. For the second package, you'll make the same decision. Do you have a second good breaking news piece? If not, then go spot news. If not, then go daily. It's the third package where you can become selective. I always put the most creative, most engaging feature story I had that highlighted all of my skills as a reporter and a visual storyteller. Others have used that third slot to showcase an investigation, perhaps one that got a city ordinance passed or a state law changed, something that had a big impact. Others have put on local medical stories or consumer investigative pieces. This is all where your network can come in handy, because if you happen to know somebody at the station you're applying to, ask them who the person was who left the job and if they had a beat, or perhaps a franchise like medical reporter, consumer investigative, or education. Then ask if someone at the station has actually been assigned that beat. If they haven't, then ask if they know if the news director is looking for someone to actually cover that beat or franchise. Because if you have a package that fits that beat or franchise, that may be a really good choice for your third package. So, the last question you probably have is, well, how long can I hope that a news director will watch my packages for? If they made it past my montage, how many of these 3 are they going to watch? Well, that all depends on how long you are, how creative you are, and how engaging you are, because that's exactly how long they'll watch for. When you stop being engaging, when you stop being creative, when you stop being interesting, they'll stop watching. I've had news directors say, I've watched only part of the first piece until it got boring. I'm assuming their facts are right and that they did the story right, but it's just not creative. They do what anybody here could do, or frankly, worse, and they didn't get called back and of course didn't get hired. I've heard news directors say, I watched all 3 pieces because this person, they were engaging the entire time. So, it's gonna vary. As long as you stay engaging, creative, and interesting, typically the longer they'll watch for. When you stop doing that, that's of course when they stop watching. I've also had news directors tell me that if they've watched your entire montage in at least one package, then you stand a chance of at least getting a phone call. If they watched through your second package, you're probably going to get a call back. If they've watched your entire tape, montage, package 1, package 2, package 3, you're probably on the short list of people they would consider hiring, and you may very well get an in-person interview. Hey there, Future Andrew here with 2 more things to think about. 1, it's smart to make chapter markers in YouTube or Vimeo based on the time code of your live shot montage and the individual packages. That way the news director can skip around if they want to. Also 2, you can leave some basic information on a slate at the end if you want to, but only use your name, a professional email address, and a website if you have one. Please do not, again, please do not put your cell phone number or any kind of other identifying information on your slate. And that's because you're probably uploading your reel to the cloud, and so therefore anyone can see it. And anyone can sometimes include the occasional stalker. And we're not talking about like the vague social media funny kind. We're talking about the real deal here. Now, it does not happen often, but I have legitimately seen this happen. So I do not say this to scare anyone. I say this to encourage you to be as safe as possible. And here's why. Sensitive information, like your cell phone number, is going to be included in the private email part of the email that you send a news director. And if we're talking about the official online application for a station or newspaper or wherever you're applying, that sensitive information is naturally a part of the application portion, so there's never a need to put that on your tape. And one last point here, This entire video is all about the traditional way to make a tape. I strongly encourage you to watch another video in this course titled A Different Kind of TV Resume Tape, where I iterate on this format. In fact, that iteration, what I do in that video, is exactly what got me hired in Dallas. And as always, if you have any questions as you're going to do this for yourself, please feel free to reach out. I'll see you in the next video.